Welcome to Fantastic Females, our adventure to finding the mythical island of freedom together. I'm Kalyani.
And I'm Rupali. We are your next door finance experts sharing our experiences in the world of money and energetics.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we are talking about our so-called best friends in inverted commas.
Okay, and who is that?
Diamonds, of course.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, we thought we'd dig into this conversation because it came up very kind of organically as we were catching up earlier today.
Yes.
In terms of just the whole diamond industry and how it's evolved and where we are today. And we'd love to link it back to our favorite topic, investments.
Yes. And I was telling Rupali basically about something I saw on Netflix, which is called, it's a documentary called Nothing Lasts Forever. And it got me interesting in a sea of very boring content on Netflix right now for me. And I started watching it and it was really interesting. Some of the stuff I knew already. But today we're here to talk about diamonds, some myths and some value maybe around it, and then take it back to investing, because I have heard people, generally women, justifying it to men and comparing it to, let's say, cars or something as an investment. So we'll break that down today.
Yes. Let's break down what makes diamonds special, or what's the buzz about it.
Yeah, so from what I understand, scientifically, it's one of the hardest materials that you come across on the planet. And it's because of its crystallization in a hexagonal shape, which then makes it really reinforced. Which is why, I don't know if you've seen, but we used to have people come in to cut glass manually in our house for, like, if we wanted any glass to be fitted in windows or as a tabletop, etc. And they'd have a pen with a diamond tip. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah, and
interesting.
They would literally simply just draw on glass, and glass would it would cut into two. So yeah, it was a tiny diamond at the end of the pen. And that's what I remember as a child as being the hardest material that can cut through glass.
And hence only diamonds can cut through diamonds, right?
Yes. So I think that's what is behind the whole hoo-ha. But when did diamonds start getting really popular, if we think about going back in history?
So in the ancient civilizations of India and the Roman Empire, these were the civilizations that were the first to appreciate the beauty of diamonds. And they were kind of believed to possess certain properties, magical and healing powers, and that's how they became important. But then they very quickly turned into a symbol of power and wealth through that, because it was these people that wore these diamonds.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
Yeah. I suppose this is a little bit similar to, say, the big luxury brands these days of our times. And back in the day, diamond wasn't the only source of this satisfaction or sense of achievement, or I suppose showing off in the society. Gold and many other precious gemstones were also in the same category. And something that I read which was quite interesting, was before 1870, there wasn't a large-scale mining operation behind diamonds. Actually, rubies and sapphires were mined more. And since 1870, so roughly in the last 150 years, is when diamonds have come into prominence.
Yeah, exactly. And that was initially through Brazil, right? So Brazil was where they founded deposits. They ruled the diamond industry initially earlier on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, actually. It's such an interesting fact because, they ruled the whole market for quite a long period of time. In the 1700s, actually.
Right.
But it was, I suppose, not as far reached. It wasn't as romanticized as it is today. And so maybe it had a very different market.
Yes. until in the 1870s it was found in South Africa.
Yes.
Rupali is from South Africa, so I'll let her take this part of the story.
Yeah, so it was found in Kimberley in South Africa. A mine was found, which then attracted, Europeans and Americans, and it kind of became a thing. De Beers came out of that
big one.
That whole kind of discovery, and it was that really, I think, De Beers really expanded the whole use case in inverted commas of diamonds, where they had some excellent marketing campaigns.
Exactly.
Right? Like that was
exactly. I think diamonds, more than being so, diamonds are expensive but not rare. This is quite important to remember and understand. And they probably have had the biggest marketing operation behind them in the last century and a half. And De Beers often comes up as an example, as a case study in marketing studies as well. So if you've ever heard of Diamonds Last Forever, that's De Beers drilling that into your heads. We know more. Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, and a lot more.
Yeah, and then the one that I found pretty interesting was the one of how much you should be spending on a diamond. And that was kind of dictated or spelled out on a marketing campaign by De Beers as 2 months' salary. And they very cleverly put in a slogan or note on one of their ad campaigns saying, how else could 2 months' salary last forever?
Very clever, I have to say. Also, I think the whole custom around having an engagement ring may have been popular in the West, but it's pretty much kind of gone global now. And that's part of globalization, of course, but also great marketing. So previously, I'm guessing in a lot of cultures, engagement rings were as a symbol of being married soon or getting married soon, and they were probably a gold band, a silver band, based on what you could afford, and just adding that diamond to it has been De Beers' doing.
It's the perception, right? So I was actually I've been binge watching trash on Netflix. Like you said, it's just an endless kind of list of not that good content at times. And what I've been watching is Selling Sunsets. In there, one of the girls get proposed with a ring that's not a diamond. And it was big time frowned upon. And they questioned whether the guy is making enough money. They questioned whether he loves her. Why hasn't he committed with a diamond if he does? And she had to sit there justifying. And I thought, that's interesting. So it is frowned upon, and it's even frowned upon by people that may not put as much value to the diamond themselves, because it's just become a thing. I mean, these slogans, Diamonds Last Forever, were in the 1940s, 1950s. So it's been a good 50 to 70 years, since these campaigns, and it's really stuck through generations.
Exactly. And I think what I found interesting in the documentary that I was mentioning as well was one of the guys who reports on diamond pricing mentions that it's somewhat like carrying a big wad of cash in your pocket, because then that makes you talk differently, behave differently. So it has an impact on your subconscious, on your psychology, and then you communicate with the world in a different way, because you know that you're worth that much based on the money that you have on you. And I suppose some of the luxury bags, shoes are part of this mindset of feeling valued. And even though other people may not know the value of it, I myself know what I'm wearing, and I operate from that value. I understand and relate to some of this, but the extent that it's been taken to is a little hard for me to comprehend. When, especially when we were younger and starting out in corporate jobs, we were told, dress for the job that you want, dress a couple of levels above. And I think that has a part to play in your success or how you interact with the rest of your ecosystem. Or also similar to if you work from home, then try and get ready as if you're going to the office, because it has an impact on how you approach your meetings, how, your mind and body just get that signal, I suppose, internal indication. So it has an impact, but to take it to the level that it's gone to is just bonkers.
I mean, diamond does not equal love in my mind.
No.
I mean, how many couples have we seen that's rocking like a 3 carat and there's not as much of a connection, but it's a symbol of love. And so I think that's what makes me question it. I think it's great that people put that much value to it, but I think blindly following any rule just for the sake of it to prove to people around you, that's something that I'm like not fully comfortable with, where I'm like, what's the reason for me wanting it? Is it because I like it, or is it because my friends will think he loves me more?
Yeah, this is it. Or that he's doing better than X person,
Right.
or he's kind
Some
of like
form of validation.
Yeah, some form of validation. And I've been through this myself as well. Not caring so much about an engagement ring before, and then afterwards, when kind of you wear it and people think they can comment on it, then it tends to get mixed up in your head because you think that you want what everyone else around you wants, which is kind of a bigger discussion. But back to diamonds now. I found this really interesting to know that they're not rare, which means that they're not worth much. So De Beers, or the Diamond Cartel, enters the discussion at this point. And they are controlling about 40% of diamonds supply around the world. And I was just reading up about how, if the law of demand and supply catches up to the diamond industry, the diamond prices would fall by quite a lot. One of the articles that I read mentioned they would fall by about 60%, which is huge. But cartels, the way they operate, even for oil, will not allow for this to happen, right?
Exactly. They will not allow for it to happen. And that's why, because it's all subjective.
Yes.
It's all kind of controlled. And when something is controlled, it's kind of like, it's any investment that you think of. So for example,
Bitcoin having limited supply.
Exactly. It's the scarcity aspect. You get cars that are scarce because there's only 5 pieces of
Limited edition.
You have limited edition watches. You have these 3-year wait lists that build this hype for this product. And once it releases, the secondary market becomes a big field to play in if you were on the wait list. So it's similar to that, right? Where diamonds are there. So I think what I would like to kind of also highlight is that, as with any of these things we buy and sell, if it's something that you are buying purely for an investment purpose, then I would think about it a little bit more, because they do tend to lose 25 to 50%, depending on where, you know, they don't hold value. So if you buy a diamond ring today from a shop and tomorrow morning you go back, you're not getting the value you paid for it.
Which actually is funny, because when I heard the lady that I was mentioning before, she's a family friend, and she was likening diamonds as an investment to her husband's hobby around having nice cars. I was laughing about it then, because cars are known to have depreciation as soon as you take them out of as soon as you drive them out of the dealership. But it's actually quite similar, because they lose 30% straight away. I suppose they carry on depreciating, whereas a diamond will lose that 30% and then stay constant.
Maybe stay stable. It might move with market prices, but there's no real kind of knowing of what's going to happen. So it's not an investment case for sure, I think, in my mind anyways. I'd rather like invest in, if you're into commodities, you know, gold, there's oil, there's lots of other grain. If it's an investment. But if you're wearing this ring because it makes you feel good, it makes you appear a certain way, it proves to you that someone loves you, that's a whole different topic.
And coming back to controlling supply, or the way cartels work, is generally by controlling supply, like I've mentioned. And the way how this looks is they literally release only a certain amount of this commodity into the world, so that they are able to dictate the prices. And something very similar works in the oil markets as well. And when it's called an oligopoly, when there are multiple but limited players controlling the market, it's in none of their interest to bring the prices down. So there's a very cohesive collusion in kind of keeping these prices up. In developed economies, this is not allowed. This is kind of policed, but there's only so much that can be done on a global level, especially as the actual physical supply is in a few hands. So De Beers is at the head of this diamond cartel. And again, I was reading something interesting that they had a case against them from 1999 to 2004, where they were found to be stockpiling $5.2 billion worth of diamonds in their London warehouses. And they had to plead guilty to stockpiling them and artificially controlling prices in 2004, which was quite a public case for then. But that's not made any difference to
The perception of
the
diamonds.
perception, because there was a big kind of funding towards all the marketing that they did in the 100 years previous versus the few news reports that would have gone out in comparison.
Exactly. And once something becomes sentimental, emotional, then it's very difficult to change that at all. So I think that's kind of, and then I think that the topic that I'm quite eager to cover is lab-based diamonds
Yes.
versus natural diamonds.
Me too.
And how that all pieces together. I think I know less than I would like to know about this, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting, the whole topic.
What I know is that gemologists or friends, I have a friend who deals in lab-grown diamonds, and they can't figure the difference out. So it's exactly the same in terms of its physical, chemical properties. And now we know that diamonds are not rare apart from the artificial stockpiling. So in that sense as well, it's not any different. Something that we came across that you might want to reflect on is whether it bothers you to have something lab grown versus being made in nature. Okay, so now to share personal kind of opinion about this, I would not know the difference. I
Yeah.
can't even tell between a Swarovski crystal and a diamond, very honestly.
Yeah.
And my self-worth is not related to the size of any jewelry. So I find it quite difficult to fathom the price tags behind these jewelry pieces.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat for sure. It's interesting how similar we are in some of these kind of topics.
Yes.
In the thought process around it. So I think what happens is when you put the word factory made or lab grown, or that automatically kind of feels like it's a cheaper thing, even though it's the exact same thing. So a lot of people put value on the fact that it's a natural grown diamond. Natural diamonds tend to have some kind of rarity. They have their inclusions, they have their color, kind of differentiating factors, which lab-grown diamonds do not have. So that rarity of it kind of may make it special to certain
Yeah.
people, I think.
So I think this whole ecosystem has come around something that is artificially
Yes.
been made rare. So our obsession is funding into this whole ecosystem. So yeah,
Exactly.
but I understand it could matter to people. And I think something again interesting that I heard on the documentary was that some of these diamonds were around when dinosaurs were around. So that kind of rarity or fascination, I do understand some people could have. But as a way, we just want to kind of make it quite clear that it's not an investment. If it fulfills any other area of your life or your mindset, then just be aware of that and buy it from that knowing instead of thinking of it as any form of investment that would reward you in future. And
in terms of lab-grown diamonds, I think just in terms of how they hold value and all of that, they don't really.
no.
They don't gain value. I don't know how the prices are determined or all of that either. I think that's a big gray area in terms of how I understand it.
Yes. So there's another interesting statistic to that, which is that from the real natural diamond markets, about 1% is lab-grown markets that have bled into the natural market because no one can tell the difference. But people are saying that the real numbers are probably closer to 20%.
Yeah.
So these 20% lab-grown diamonds are being treated the same way as natural so-called rare diamonds. So there is no
It
way
makes
to
you
know.
question, isn't it? It's very...
Yeah, it really makes you question. And I think there's some value to obviously precious stones, and it very much depends on the size, clarity, quality, etc. In some cases, rubies and sapphires are actually more expensive than diamonds as well, below a certain quality level, which I also found quite interesting to know. And yeah, so there's some level of value to the metals and the precious gemstones, etc. But then again, these luxury brands come in and put a further premium on what these materials would cost, which I find even more hard to understand. But there's an audience for that. And that's absolutely fine. We're just saying that we don't relate to and understand this obsession or this avenue of spending money. But yeah, I think hopefully this episode would have made you aware of diamonds' true value and maybe value your human best friend more than a rock.
A rock, exactly. And actually something that, De Beers has really kind of laser focused on is diamonds last forever. So the question I wanted to answer for our audience is, do lab-grown diamonds last forever? And the answer is that they are expected to last a lifetime and beyond if they're cared for properly.
So quite comparable to...
So quite comparable to the real diamond in inverted commas.
Okay.
And they aren't as hard as real diamonds, but they're very close.
Ah.
I think if you kind of break it down to the, I don't know, not even micro, but even further, then they tend to be slightly more brittle, but clearly jewelers can't tell the difference, machines can't tell the difference. So
yeah, I have a feeling this has been made up too.
It might be made up by the real diamond sellers.
Yeah,
like
whatever it
De Beers.
is. Yeah, maybe. Whatever it is, I hope this episode has helped you in your understanding, and we'll see you next week.
So please share this podcast, leave your reviews, your comments to support us on our journey. We are so passionate about making your lives more abundant with this information.
So with that, we bring this episode of our financial adventure to an end. Please follow us on all social media platforms at Fantastic Females.
None of the information provided is financial advice, and Fantastic Females is not a financial advisor.
The information provided is educational only. It is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances.
Please use your own due diligence before making any financial or investment decisions.